Hey, we're going to get started right here in 2 seconds. I'm going to hide that. Looking for some folks. I can see you guys talking already. Somebody give me a sound check. Just let me know it's good to go. My LinkedIn team, the people who help me, they're off on vacation for 2 weeks. And so I'll be doing this all by myself. And I got a little bit of a back end concern, but I think we're good to go. And we've got a great topic here to wrap up this 5 days I've been doing on LinkedIn. If you haven't watched previous stuff I've done this week, I did business development using LinkedIn, capture using LinkedIn. Thanks, Jordan. Thanks, everybody. It sounds like I'm getting some good feedback there. So capture BD, also how to prove that you're a subject matter expert or demonstrate that you're a subject matter expert. And so a lot of good LinkedIn stuff this week. And as you move into today, I wanted to wrap it all up together into just here's an actionable set of tasks that you can do in 30 minutes. So I am going to get started right now. I'm Neil McDonnell, president of the GovCon Chamber of Commerce. Welcome to my daily LinkedIn Live, where I share processes and procedures to help you achieve success in the federal market. I spent 20 years as a small business owner in the federal market. And since 2018, I've been teaching people like you that government contracting is not a secret. It's just a process. And that process goes from A to Z. And that's what we're going to get into today, is talking about the process from a LinkedIn standpoint. Today, I'm going to talk about how to increase your revenue using LinkedIn 30 minutes a day. I've been doing sales for 30 years, and I never could have imagined how easy it would be to start and build relationships, and all of it coming down to discipline, right? For me, it just takes discipline. And that's the one word I want us to remember today is discipline. For those of you in the chat, I'm not going to be able to see you, but I see a lot of our regulars from the community. If you can keep that chat kind of going, that's perfect. And I'm going to get started. But before we do, one thing I would like you to do is add your name and core competency into the chat. Help me remember who you are. Just use 2 or 3 words to describe your core competency and your company name. I believe that it's your responsibility to help buyers, teaming partners, and people like me remember your name and remember your core competency. When we do, we're able to refer you to other people. We're able to sit there and say, oh, you're looking for somebody who does cyber. You're looking for somebody who does elevators. Hey, Rafa. When I hear that, I can refer you. But I work with hundreds of businesses. I can remember your business, like Bay & Group, SharePoint, right? I can remember these things once you help me remember it. And so I'm putting it in your control to say, hey, drive it into my head. And while you're driving it into my head, I believe the rest of the people in the community will begin to know your company, your name, and your core competency. And when the time comes, they're going to say, oh, hey, I know somebody. I introduce people, or I make introductions every single day. And I always introduce buyers and teaming partners to somebody like you, right? I don't help people trying to find the buyer get introduced. I help them do it on their own, but I make an introduction directly when I find somebody like you could help one of the people I know who's a buyer or a prime. I can say, hey, Tim, meet this person. They'll be good for you. And so the way I'm able to do that, though, is when you've driven into my head the name of your company and what you do. So remember that as we get started. And we're going to dive into 30 minutes LinkedIn daily workout, right? To me, this is what can I do every single day. But before we go too far into LinkedIn, I just want you to think about all the other tools that are in your toolbox for federal selling, right? What are they? What are those type of tools that you have? The phone, right? We all got a phone now, and maybe many of us still have landlines. We have email. That's another sales tool in our toolbox. Video chat. In-person meetings is another tool in our toolbox. Events like OSDBU small business events or industry days, or even big convention conferences that are multi-day events, right? We have those to go out to. When you think about all of those, though, and the impact they have on your marketing and sales activity, they're just a small fraction of what you could be doing. I argue that all of that together, the phone, email, video chat, or in-person meetings and events, all of that is the 20%. The other 80% is what you could do on LinkedIn. There is no other tool as helpful to you in your journey. Your buyers are out there so you can find people. Your buyers are out there talking so you can learn about their goals and their challenges. Your teaming partners are out there talking about what they're doing and what their specialties are or where they're winning. And you can get in there and build relationships and know so much about them through this one platform called LinkedIn, right? And so I want you to be able to maximize that, but sometimes it can seem overwhelming. And I'm going to bring it down into this 30-minute window. And one thing I want you to remember is something Les Brown said a long time ago, and I've remembered this from way back in my Toastmaster days, but you don't have to be great to get started, but you do have to get started to be great. If I paraphrase it in LinkedIn, you don't have to be great at LinkedIn or social media to get started. You just have to get started in order to be great at LinkedIn. So keep that in mind as we move forward on 3 things I want to cover today. Introduction to social selling. I really want to just help you understand that concept and that idea, which will then lead to the next set of activities. The second thing I want to cover is the 30-minute breakdown. When I use 30 minutes in a day, how would I break that down? I will tell you that me personally, I spend more than 30 minutes, but I understand that maybe you don't have more than 30 minutes, but you certainly can find 30 minutes. That's a television show, just work an extra 30 minutes in your day and you can find that, right? But 30 minutes, I'll break it down. And the last thing I want to do is tell you about a tool I use personally to manage all this activity to make it so much easier. I used to do it very manually, and now I use a tool to help me prepare some of the activities that are in this 30-minute breakdown. So that's what we're going to cover. And I am going to start with just telling you a little bit about social selling, right? And before I get started, there's this term called social selling index that LinkedIn uses. And I'm curious of, who knows about this kind of thing. And so I'm putting this little tag in here that says, in chat, tell me whether you know what social selling index is or social selling is. Put yes, or SSI no if you've never heard of it. You don't know what I'm talking about. If you happen to know what your social selling index is, your number, your score, put that in, right? Mine is 84. That's why I got it there. And that's pretty high. It goes up to 100. Anything above 70 is great, right? So, but whatever number you have, if you happen to be tracking on this right now, and if you're not, don't worry, I'll tell you about it. But if you're tracking on it, whatever number you have is great, because then as we measure our progress, we can track on that number. But go ahead and put SSI yes or SSI no if you know about it or don't know about it, and let me know. I'm just really curious about that. Okay, so let me explain what the social selling index is. The concept behind social selling, in my words, is how well are we using social selling tools, social media, to be able to improve our selling, so social selling. And social selling can be measured in the activities you do on all these different platforms, Twitter, Facebook, whatever. In my opinion, in the federal space, there is not only a leading platform, LinkedIn, but I believe it's the only one people need to be on. If you're on there, then you're doing more than enough to be able to reach all of your buyers. It is the professional network. So there are 4 ways that social selling is described by LinkedIn, or measured, if you will. Is the first one is establish your professional brand. The second one is find the right people. Third one is engage with insights, and I'll explain that in a minute. And the fourth one is build relationships. And so I'm going to try to tell you what it means to me, because you don't need to go crazy into it the way I do. I'm a very heavy user, right? But you do need to understand it at a basic level so that you can begin to have success in each one of these 4 categories, which will lead you to overall success of using LinkedIn as a sales tool. So establish your professional brand goes really to what I described in yesterday's video. How do you prove to people that you're a subject matter expert? When you're building your professional brand, your profile, what you do on LinkedIn, you will begin to be seen as a thought leader, as a subject matter expert. And that's what you want to do. So that's one aspect of social selling, is letting people know you exist. The next one was find the right people. And this is about learning through LinkedIn where your buyers are, who your buyers are, and who your teammates are. Because those are really who you're looking for, teammates or buyers. And so in LinkedIn, they talk about, are you finding the right people? Are you looking and using their tools, their search functionality to find the right people? And I'll show you how to do that in a minute, because that's part of my 30-day activity. And then the next one is engage with insight. And to me, this is one of my favorite. It's the one that most of you find me on. It's discovering and sharing valuable content. So I want to find content that I can engage with, etc. Somebody will drop a strategic plan and I'll just absorb it and read it to understand an agency better. But I'll also share content out there. I share content just like this one today, right? This is a piece of content. I'm putting it out there and it's enabling me to engage my community, right? The audience that I'm trying to reach. So that's engage with insight. It just basically means engage with content. And then the last one is build relationships. And this is where you're actually connecting with buyers and teaming partners. You're building that relationship. And I've described this week in previous videos you can find that talk about how do you find them? Do you begin to follow them, begin to pay attention to what they're sharing, and slowly but surely work your way up to the point where you can connect and ask for a meeting. That's sales, right? You don't just go right in for the date. You work your way up a little bit. And so at a high level, that's what social selling is. I want to talk first about what I do in 30 minutes, and then I'm going to share my screen and show you exactly what I'm talking about in a condensed, rapid way. So there's 6 things that I recommend you do, 5 minutes each in this 30-minute window. And by the way, I'm going to do a handout at the end. I'll say if you want a handout, put handout in. I can't remember what I'm going to say. It's something like LinkedIn handout, please. So if you want to put that in early, go ahead. But I'll have this as a handout. So the first thing I do is I record my numbers. These are the metrics I measure my own performance on LinkedIn. And I will show you this in a minute. The second thing I do is I find 5 new people to follow. And I want to keep building every single day this pool of buyers and teammates I'm aware of and engaging with or whatever. So it begins with finding 5 new people to follow. I'll show you that. But if you do 5 new people every business day, basically at the end of the year, you'll have added 1,000 new people to your network. Not necessarily connections, right? Connecting with somebody is a little bit more advanced version than follow, but you'll have identified 1,000 people who potentially are fits for your business. That is unbelievable. It's just incredible. And it takes you 5 minutes a day. The next one is posting to my feed. So every day I want you to post something. In the beginning, you might only do it once a week. That's fine. Remember, you have to get started to be great. But eventually you should be posting to your LinkedIn, posting to LinkedIn once a day of content that your buyers and your teammates would want to see that elevate your subject matter expertise and thought leader status. The next one is engage with notifications. Notifications are LinkedIn is telling you, hey, these people are saying these things or talking about this out on LinkedIn. And so I want you to engage with that because LinkedIn is pushing it to you. You don't engage with everybody. You look through and you find the ones that you can add value to. The 5th one is I groom my feed. And what I mean by this is if you've been on Facebook or LinkedIn, you see this feed running down. And a lot of times you look in the feed and you're like, I wish I didn't see that stuff. Well, don't complain. Just unfollow the people who are providing content maybe that just isn't a direction that is any value to you or that you can contribute value to. Just unfollow them. There's no reason to really disconnect or unconnect with them, but it's enough to unfollow them to get it out of the feed. And that's what I mean by grooming the feed so that what you see begins to become always relevant. And so you spend less time, which is number 6, engage with your feed content. You want to find something where you can add a comment, a question, etc., into LinkedIn. Today is not about teaching you how to do all that stuff, but that's the goal. Those 6 things: record my numbers, find 5 new people to follow, post my feed, engage with notifications, groom my feed, and engage with feed content. So I know it's a fire hose. It's what it's like when you show up at my daily LinkedIn lives here, but let me share my screen and tell you how I do that stuff. Okay, so the first thing I said was record my numbers, right? So there's basic numbers that LinkedIn gives you. Right here, it's who's viewed my profile in impressions. Later on, I can show you where all the numbers are. But what I want to do is to show you how I record them so you just look really quick at it. And so let me see if I got this spreadsheet open. So here is a spreadsheet that I use. It's, you see by the tabs, I got a lot of different tabs to engage to help me just do what I do. But long story short, every single day I take 5 minutes or less and I come in here and record my numbers. And the reason I want to record these is because I want to see generally good progress forward. I don't know what the word is, like a high ego. I'd love to see that number be 100, but I don't really care. What I really care are these numbers that begin right here with profile view, right? If you can see this, and let me zoom in a little bit. Well, that didn't really work, but anyways, if you see the profile views, you can see my numbers going up. That's what I want to track. And so the numbers I track are how many people view my profile in a 90-day period. How many impressions are my content getting? And so when I put posts out there, this is a 90-day window. The engagement is how many people are liking and commenting. What I want to see is that I'm putting out content that people are engaging in and they find value. If they're not finding value, then I should tweak my content so I am reaching my target audience, you in particular, right? In a way that it's valuable to you. That is my goal when I put content out, is I really do want to do content. So then I've got followers and connections. You can see I have more, well, now I have more followers than connections. I used to have way more connections than I had followers, and that's fine. I'd be totally happy if this number from 17,000 of mine of followers went down to 10,000, because I used to do SharePoint in my last company. So I have many, many people who are following me, connected and following me, who are SharePoint engineers, SharePoint developers. Well, do they really get any value from what I'm sharing? No. And so it's not bad for them to stay connected with me, but I would encourage them to stop following me. There's another number that is out there that I don't track actually, but I'm going to, is how many people am I following? I really want to get, and it's somewhere around 18, 19,000. I actually want to get that down to 5,000. I don't need to be following everybody. What I want to be following are the people who are sharing content. So anyways, so then the column N here, I'm tracking numbers on my company page to see how many followers do I have, how many people are subscribed to newsletter. I have two newsletters, one's personal and one's the company page. And so this one is the number I care. My personal one has like 3,000 or 4,000 subscribers, but I don't count it as real because I felt like a lot of people just subscribed. But on the newsletter on my company page, it's much more driven to the people who are in GovCon. So I just have a lot of these other numbers. I don't want to spend too far doing it, but you know, I'm looking at how many followers. Am I steadily getting some new followers? Is my company page getting engagement? Button clicks are really cool because this is, I never paid attention to it before, but this is where LinkedIn is driving them back to my website. I don't actually care if people go to my website. I care if they discover it, but I'm giving enough content right here on LinkedIn. I don't need them to leave the platform. And then I do the same thing with YouTube. I'm not trying to be this big YouTube subscriber, but I thought it'd be nice for me to just at least pay attention to the numbers. So when I talk about tracking your numbers, that's what I mean. And with LinkedIn, you can come in and get all this analytics. You know, ask me if you want to know about that. So the let me just come back here. So the first thing I said was record my number. The next one is find 5 people, right? And so just tracking my time here. I want to give you an example of the people I might want to follow. So business developers, right? Here, I'm going to say business develop for a second, just to get started. So in the search bar, I just typed it. What I want to find are people. So I just filtered by the word people up here. So that's all I'm looking at. Now, the next thing is I'm actually trying to search just people at SAIC. This is a large company in the professional services IT side. So I'm just going to search that. So I'm going from 2.6 million people down to 173. Perfect, right? So the last thing I want to do is I want to get rid of this keyword thing here. And I'm going to come back to where it says all filters. I want to find their title. And again, you can come back and watch this later. I know I'm going really fast. But right here, I'm just going to type business. And that should be fine for me. So I have 173. Now I have 99 people. So I came down by 80 or 70 or 80. And I'm looking for people who are business developers. So like this lady here, Jill, what I'm doing when I'm finding 5 people is I look at this. I have a mouse that has a wheel. So I can click on the wheel. It opens a new tab. This guy here, it says business area manager for Scott. I don't care. And when I say I don't care, I just softly mean I'm trying to drive pretty fast. This one, business development manager at PAE, I can't remember if they got bought, but I'm just going to skip. Here's a general manager at SAIC. I don't need to pursue him at the moment because I'm not looking for business procurement analyst. No, FIA business analyst, business industrial space. So here, business space unit contract team. Right? Remember, I'm trying to find 5 people that are out there. So I'll just do these 2 as an example. Jill, I come down here really quick, and I'm just trying to get a general idea. I want to do business in this example with SAIC. Would she be somebody I might want to start following and learning from and engaging maybe? So here she does business development and capture. Yes, I want to be interacting with this person. And she does it with various DoD customers in addition to NASA. So when I look at that, and her portfolio is contracts greater than 100 million. Well, fancy that, Jill. I would like to be on contracts that are greater than 100 million. So this person is perfect. And when I say my daily activity, all I'm going to do now, sorry, a little bouncing there. All I'm going to do is click on this more button. And when I do, I'll click on follow. And I could be done. That's following. But the one thing I'll remind you to do is up here in the top, it has the bell. Click on it. Now LinkedIn will tell me everything that's going on with Jill. At any point, if I decide, you know what, Jill and I are just not a fit on LinkedIn, I can unbell her so I don't get notifications, or I can unfollow her, right? But right now, she just got to notice that I'm tracking her. So keep that in mind. This is a way to engage in a dialogue with Jill at the very beginning of stages. It's kind of like we're across the room at a convention. I just waved, hey. And the only difference is when I waved, above my hand came my name and my profile so she could decide whether she wanted to wave back. Okay, and then Mike Culpepper, just using this one other example. So this gentleman, I'm going to come down here and I can see that he's a space business contracts team lead. He's working on this stuff. I want to get into Space Force, things like that. He seems like somebody else that I would do that same thing. Let me follow and see what's going on with him. So that's what I do from following people on a daily basis. Let me close these two people. So the next bullet I had was post to my feed, right? So in this one here, I'm coming back, and I don't want to get too far into it. I can just actually show you. Sorry, let me view the profile. So you can do posts in many different ways, and I'm going to show you how I do mine. And I've been doing this a while, right? So your posts don't have to be at my level yet, but you can get to that stage. So if I just go to documents really quick, you can see one of the posts I've done recently is this post about the defensive cyber operations. This is an important post for me because I try to be this person who helps you do your homework on federal agencies. So anytime I can find a document, get it out there, I will. And I try to summarize it. Like this one, I summarize not a lot. This one here is FEMA, and I put in a bunch of links to people's profile in the org chart, and you can see I did this whole post. So there's different ways to do posts. You can do this long engaged post that's got a lot of activity and links. Other times I can do this one. And the idea is I'm just trying to put out content that I think is good for my audience. And you know, if I'm getting 2,000 impressions on it, which is a measurable number, then that's good enough. You want to do this once a day. At the moment, remember, you can do once a week, but putting out a piece of content or you can make it all text, or you could share a document, things like that. That's a great way to engage people out there. The next one is notifications and groom my feed. I'm going to try to cover both of those as I fire hose through this. Notifications are up here on the top right, right? So I'm showing you my LinkedIn profile unfiltered. And in here, I can look at different people's things. These are people engaging in stuff I've done before, but I want to scroll down and show you stuff like that I might engage on. Okay, so right here, Chris Hughes. I don't know Chris directly, but he was live and he was doing something to do with cyber. So I went into that event because I help customers with cyber and growing that business, and I track on it. But the idea is I want to look at all these and then I remove it, right? I didn't do anything with Chris there. I just engaged it. Here she's saying Karen is starting out in a new position as a volunteer coordinator at a hospice. This is an easy, simple thing you can decide to do and whether you want to do it. I personally like doing it because there's no downside. If you don't like getting a congratulations from me that you started a new position, then maybe you and I should be connected, right? And so I would say congrats and to Karen. And so in this case, because I'm not really tied overly to her, she's not in the government or one of the buyers, she's kind of outside, it's sufficient for me to just send a, hey, congrats. If this person was somebody, is somebody like you who are on these calls today, you're my closer audience, the people I want to engage more, I would be like, hey, Munir, happy birthday. I saw your birthday. I hope you have a good weekend. Enjoy it. Whatever it is, I put a personal touch into it because I know, I'm looking at the people who are engaged. I know Will, I know Munir, I know Amit down here. I would do a much more personalized message for them. And then I think the other one was groom my feed. So grooming my feed, all it means is going through and getting rid of stuff that's not there. So this feed here, this post is about DISA, but it's just a person's personalized thing. I don't care that it's on my feed and it doesn't add, I don't have much value to add to a person who's retiring, right? Unless I knew them, I really don't have much to add. So then I'm just coming down through the feed, and I'll use this one as an example. So this one here is people going into Esri and Rhonda. I look in here, this is a CEO of United States Geospatial Foundation. So this person I absolutely want to be tracking on, and I might read it. If I wanted to engage on this content, when I'm grooming my feed, I always make a point of just trying to right click and open it so I don't distract myself from 5 minutes of grooming. What I really want, and I already told you about giving people congratulations. What I want to find is one that I don't want. Okay, this is recruiting and sourcing. This person, single placement, is doing that. The last one I'm going to look at is this person here. This is helping owners build e-commerce businesses, revenue growth. Actually, this is not a bad connection for me to maintain. And so I don't want to minimize yet what Damon is doing and putting into my feed. But if I wanted to, and I just want to show you because I'm short on time, the way I would do it is I would come in and say, look, I want to unfollow Damon. We're still connected, but I'm not going to see Damon's stuff in my feed. But because he's helping businesses, I think I want to just keep tracking a little while longer. But I might say I don't want to see this, and LinkedIn allows me to get a little bit more granular on why I don't want to see it. It might be political. It might be a little too advertisemently. LinkedIn gives you the ability to filter it down. Anyways, I don't want to go too far into that. But the idea is you want to be able to get in there and get out of your feed people who probably are not putting stuff in there that you can add value to. It's not about them. It's about you making sure your feed has stuff that's relevant to what you're trying to do and that you perhaps could add value to, which increases your visibility, branding to the community as a thought leader, as a subject matter expert, et cetera. So, and then engaging in here, I won't go into it because I've done other videos this week that talk about it. But if I came down here and trying to find one that, like this one here, Amit, it's convenient that it's Amit who's probably on the call. But building explainability into components of machine learning, I would absolutely go in there and take a look and read it. And the thing I wanted to point out is that Amit has no comments. He's got a share and people liking it. I would raise invisibility to Amit if he didn't know who I was. If I look and read this article and I say, yeah, hey, thanks for sharing it. I really like this part. Or what do you think about this part? Now I'm starting to engage them. And imagine if I was doing that with a second connection who I'm only following and I'm trying to build a relationship. They will appreciate the fact that you've engaged what they thought was important enough to put out there. Okay, so let me wrap up here because I know that I'm flying. It seems like yesterday and today I'm hitting topics that are pushing me right to the wire. I did want to tell you about the handout I mentioned earlier. If you'd like a handout where I explain the tasks and I give a little bit of guidance on how to do that, put LinkedIn handout, please, into the comments, and I'll do that. Remember that line that you don't have to be great to get started, but you do have to get started to be great. I love that line, and I think it's a great thing as you get more into LinkedIn. You know, today we talked about how to use LinkedIn for 30 minutes a day, and I really believe that if you do, you will achieve the success you're looking for. So again, LinkedIn handout, please, in the chat if you want that. If you appreciated today's content and valued it and think others would, give it a thumbs up. And remember, government contracting, it's not a secret. It's just a process. I'll see you in the next event.